Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson, and Rodgers! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Good evening and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. I'm JP, and joining me for this whirlwind of a podcast that we've had to add into the schedule is my good man and current Sheffield Wednesday captain, Mr. Barry Bannan. Well, Barry, it's been about a week since I last spoke to yourself, mate, on the podcast. God, it seems like an absolute monumental shift, should I say, and that's probably putting it lightly, that's happened at the football club, mate, in terms of results. And now, obviously, the massive news in the last 24 hours, Brendan Rodgers resigns as the Celtic manager, mate. First of all, good evening. Hope you're well, and it's good to see you. And then, obviously, we'll touch on your stance on what's just unfolded over the last 24 hours, mate.
Good evening, mate. It does feels like I'm a wee boy again at 13, seeing Martin O'Neill walking in the door again. No, it's been crazy. Obviously, the last time I was on here, it was all positivity, trying to stay positive. Mm-hmm. But we didn't know this could come. We weren't naive enough to think with performances, if they don't get better, then this could be a possibility. But no, I think none of you seen him resigning after what he said a few weeks ago, obviously saying he's done that before, he won't do it again. So that was a big disappointment. Me personally, I think something needed to happen, whether it was Brendan doing what he's done and left or Brendan getting sacked, because I think there's something not right there, and it's starting to affect the players on the park. Performances haven't been good enough this season, and a lot of it's down to what's going on with the manager and the board. And until that's resolved, I can't see performances getting any better. It is a hindrance for the players. The fans keep boycotting and protesting and stuff like that. So something needed to happen, and I'm kind of just glad that it's happened with enough time to get back on the road again and start winning football games. Hopefully, going forward, we can either appoint a manager or Sean and Martin do a good job in the next couple of games, and who knows, they might keep it. But I think something needed to happen with Brendan, and obviously it has.
Yeah, there was no doubt, mate. There was quite a bit of time had been by now, and the team itself had been going through the motions on the pitch. You could go right back to the cup final last season against Aberdeen. A lot of fans have been saying, Barry, that Celtic came right off it after the Bayern Munich exit when we lost that game. Albeit we never lost that night, but with that extra goal that Bayern had managed to creep in overall in the tie, Celtic went out. So again, it was a great performance by the team, and some of that team is actually currently still there. We'll go on and touch on that as we go. But when you see things happening from the summer and the way that the summer window unfolded, and then you see all the messages that Brendan was coming out with, and some of the things he was saying, like the Honda Civic moment of recent, I mean, that's one of the probably the most flaggable ones, I could say, that is the most bizarre, one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen from a football manager. I've never seen anything like that before. The man who's obviously come in and answered the call, He was a big, he was big on. He blasted Brendan for that basically when he was on TalkSport speaking with Jim White and Simon Jordan on there, and he wasn't happy. He thought Brendan should have kept that kind of comment in house or away from the kind of mainstream media, mate. But overall, mate, in terms of you said there that this had to happen. Did you see this happening though, and kind of the way it's transpired? And did you see Brendan potentially resigning from his position?
No, I thought it'd have been the other way about, especially with the comments that were made and performances and results of the last few weeks. I thought the board would have had a decision to make. I didn't see Brendan leaving and resigning right enough, but it just didn't add up for me, JP, the way, like you said, the Honda Civic, even going back to some of the comments made about signings and stuff like that, he was really strong on that. And I felt, not that it was too far, but I just think if you want to stay in a job and not rock the boat, then some of these things they need to stay in-house. And I just think when you look back at it now, it all kind of does add up with how these press conferences were going, and especially the results of the last couple of games as well have just added to it. But no, I felt the board would have had to have probably pushed Brendan and maybe have sacked him, but obviously Brendan has had enough and has probably seen that it wasn't going to change on the park. I don't know what's happened with the performances. I know we speak about not what we wanted in the transfer window, but I still feel, even on Sunday, I felt there was enough that travelled on that team bus to go and beat Hearts. I think maybe selection was wrong on the day, so it's all right looking back and say transfer window wasn't good enough, but that squad that Celtic had for the Dundee and the Hearts game should have still had enough to go and win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been a big advocate on the channel for that, mate, of recent. You can go even back to the Kairat game. The people talk about budgets and Brendan's not had money to spend and he wasn't fully backed in the transfer window. And I had this chat with Ryan, and I'd said to Ryan at the time, I said, Ryan, that team should still have been good enough to overcome Kairat Almaty. That team now should still be good enough to beat Dundee. And certainly, as you've just mentioned, Buzz, the team should be good enough to now go to Tynecastle and potentially win that game as well. Now, I know Hearts are in a good place, and there's lots of talk getting talked about Hearts, and I did say his podcast before we hit the weekend, this isn't the Bernabeu we're going to. It is Hearts at the end of the day. That somehow they've no transformed into a free-flowing Paris Saint-Germain or Real Madrid, or, I said, so everybody needs to calm down a wee bit. You even look back at the game in itself, Baz, and obviously Celtic had a great opportunity right before half-time to take a 2-1 lead in the game. Now, you're still in the game, mate. When I played the game, in my opinion, if Celtic score that goal, the momentum changes in the game. Hearts don't get that quick start that they got in the kind of second half. That's just that's just how I feel. So again, moments change games, but no, I think you're bang on, mate. I think there's too many moments that went against us, and obviously in the end and on Sunday, mate. Obviously getting your own thoughts on it. For me, I just felt we made too many mistakes. But this was becoming more and more apparent under Brendan Rodgers. The team they were lacking cohesion, they were lacking rhythm, they weren't really getting going. And do you think, Baz, that's a massive factor then in why we've saw what we've seen? Do you think other things have maybe happened behind the scenes You know, there's a lot of rumours going about that the place is toxic and it's this and that, and obviously we'll touch on Dermot Desmond's statement, mate, which is very, very scathing, to say the least. But do you see it as in the players might have kind of checked out from maybe Brendan himself due to Brendan's body language? Was it mixed messages that were coming across? Was it lack of communication? How do you see it, mate, from a player's perspective? Because in my opinion, you don't go for that Bayern Munich display to then watching us struggling to score goals now and struggling to actually string a run of games together now to win more than you don't.
No, I think touching on the players, the Honda Civic shout when they sit too well with a team, I don't imagine. I know he came out after it and said it was to do with the speed in the team. But for me, it wasn't a great. Probably looking back, he probably maybe wishes he could have changed what he said. But I don't know. There's been loads that's been going on, like we spoke about a few weeks on here. The Dies in Maida thing. That was a big problem, no letting Dies in Maida go. And then you've got Adam Ida leaving, no getting people in who they wanted to get in. And then you've got the fans going against the board. So there's been loads and loads of things we spoke about a few weeks ago that have all added to this. But the way I see the last few weeks has still been, like I just touched on there, it's nothing to do with the board or people unhappy. You still should have enough to go and beat Dundee and that. And don't get me wrong, Hearts are obviously, it's a tough place to go at the minute, especially the way they're performing this season. But like you said, that Celtic team should go there and win the game. That's us maybe being deluded and thinking that Celtic team's better than they are. But we've seen over the years that they can go there and win and go to tougher places and win. So there's definitely something that's no sitting right in the changing room or at the club. And as I've said, we'll see if it was Brendan, because we'll see tomorrow night and more so on Sunday. If the team start to perform a bit better, then maybe the boys wanted a change. There's probably a lot of new players in that changing room that have not had a chance since they've come in, and they might be happy with a fresh start for some people. But you can't go against his record as well, saying that we're saying they knew that we needed a change, but that doesn't take away what he's done for this club in the 2 times that he's been here. He's been unbelievable manager for the club. It is a shame to see him leaving this way. It'll be interesting to see if he comes out with his own statement, because obviously the one that Dermot Desmond did is really, really strong. So it'll be interesting to see if Brendan answers back. But I'm a bit sad as well, because obviously he's been a terrific manager for the football club in the both times.
Yeah, mate, there's no doubt he's been a massive success. And I was on here last night, nearly just about with pom-poms out for him. And that you know, I still believe that Brendan had it in his locker to be able to turn the deficit around. I was on here before the announcement was made that he was resigning. It doesn't make me look silly, but I still have that belief. If he was still here and he was doing the job, I still think Brendan's good enough to turn that around and get Celtic back on track. But we'll never know now. There's a wee comment here from Mark's. Obviously, Mark's been on the channel before. Even JP and Barry, good to see you. Brendan checked out in January. Something had to give. He will be hard to replace, though. 100%. Can you see that perspective, Barry? Obviously, because a lot of people are saying after the Bayern Munich game, that's when Brendan really sort of started to change, and his demeanour and the way, some of his behaviours, and like we've mentioned, his comments, and it wasn't, I mean, he was drip feeding things into different pressers, and it kind of manufactured itself right through into the summer, and then after the summer, and then here we are.
I think so, but what doesn't sit right with me is as well, I know the first time he left and then he came back, he was maybe promised a bit more money in the transfer. He did get that money at the very start of the second time around, so he was given a different. He was probably given what he was promised at the start, because we spent a lot of money on your Arnie Engels, your Austin Trustees, and people like that. So I just don't get. For me, I don't get how he's come back for a second time, thinking that there was going to be huge differences, because Celtic's had this model in place for years and it's not really changed. If anything, he got a lot of money to spend this time around compared to previous managers like Ange and people like that. So I don't know where to sit with it, because we're not privileged enough to know the ins and outs, but I just feel as if he was given a lot of money for the first year and a half. He was gave a lot of money, spent a lot of money. We sell a lot of players for big fees as well. But then looking at Desmond's comments last night, he speaks about the manager not committing when they tried to give him a new contract since December last year. So for me, that kind of makes sense in a way, that how we've not had as much money to spend in the summer, because for me, why would you give a manager money to spend if he thinks he's not going to be there for the long term? So I could see maybe why he wasn't given as much as he wanted in the summer, because if he's turning contracts, which Desmond's saying he has, then that's probably why they've not given money to spend. So I don't know. We won't know until Brendan comes out and speaks. We're only seeing one side of the story at the minute, with Desmond coming out and doing his. But if Desmond is lying, then I'd imagine Brendan will come out strongly with an interview in the next couple of days or the next week or so. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and obviously Barry touches on, folks, the words from Dermot Desmond, and this kind of statement came out last night after Brendan's resignation was announced. I'm going to read a wee bit of the statement that Dermot put out. It says, Brendan Rodgers has today tendered his resignation as manager of Celtic Football Club. I want to acknowledge Brendan's contribution across his 2 spells as manager, during which he helped deliver success that forms part of the club's modern history. However, I must also express my deep disappointment at the way the past several months have unfolded. So right away reading that, Baz, you're kind of, you're starting to get intrigued here, going, what does he mean there? So he then went on and he says, when we brought Brendan back to Celtic 2 years ago, it was done with complete trust and belief in his ability to lead the club into a new era of sustained success. Unfortunately, his conduct and communication in recent months have not reflected that trust. In June, both Michael Nicholson and I, meaning Dermot Desmond, expressed to Brendan that we were keen to offer him a contract extension to reaffirm the club's full backing and long-term commitment to him. He said he would need to think about it and revert. Yet in subsequent press conferences, Brendan implied that the club made no offer whatsoever in commitment for a contract. That was simply untrue. So you're kind of, at this point, you're going, right, what's going on then? Again, the question begs, Baz, were Celtic fans gaslighted then by the manager? Because going with Desmond there, it would simply appear so.
This is what I mean. So we're only getting Desmond's side of it. So like I said, it'll be interesting to see if Brendan comes out and speaks on his behalf. Because if that's not correct in what's been said, then you've got to defend yourself for me. So I think we'll know when Brendan's had time to digest what's happened, and obviously digest that statement from Dermot Desmond as well. See what he comes out and says. But that's a strong statement. If it is not true as well, it's really strong. You don't really normally see that from owners of football clubs going into that much detail as well. So it's crazy, to be honest. But as I've said, if it's not true, then me personally, if it was about me, I'd be coming out and defending myself, because Brendan has left a great legacy. He's had a great legacy at Celtic. He'll be loved by majority fans for how well he's done at the club. But if that's true in Dermot Desmond's statement, then it probably affects that legacy going forward for Brendan. So, as I said, you don't want that. You don't want that if you're Brendan Rodgers. You if it's not true, you've got to come out and defend yourself. So it'll be interesting to see what Brendan's got to say for himself in the next few weeks.
Yeah. Baz, what's your take on Dermot Desmond and obviously the statement in itself? Because it seems to have generated various different opinions, especially today. We've seen Paul John Dykes from the Axum channel. He was on Sky Sports News speaking today. He's obviously unhappy with the comments and the statement itself. He thinks it's very disrespectful. Doesn't he think Desmond should have maybe came public with that? But you listen to then Simon Jordan, who's a former owner as well, and he was on TalkSport today from his holiday when they went live to him from the studio, and he fully backed Dermot Desmond for that, because he thinks it doesn't happen often enough, And Simon was quite a big advocate for, especially of recent weeks, the way Brendan's been speaking, some of the words he's been using, the language, the tone. So he has more or less thoughts where, why should managers get to say what they want, but yet the hierarchies and, the money men and guys that look after the club that way, are they supposed to just sit there and take that? Are they not allowed to, What's your take on the Dermot Desmond thing? Are you of the opinion that Dermot Desmond was quite within his rights to do that? Were you surprised at how quickly the statement came out, following obviously the resignation? But now today we understand that Martin O'Neill was contacted yesterday afternoon, early evening. So it was just when the announcement of the resignation had happened, it just seemed to be that, that was dead fast after it. But when indeed probably Brendan, the reality is he resigned yesterday. So during the day, and the club knew that, but they just never managed to release anything until last night. But in terms of the Dermot Desmond situation, where are you sitting on that?
No, I think if it's true what he's saying, then he's got every right to come out and speak about it. The board really this season have been battered from pillar to post by the fans. So if it's true what Desmond's saying, then he's obviously coming out fighting. But the only thing that doesn't sit right with me is how it took for Brendan to resign for this to come out. Why is this not being acted upon on the time when Rodgers was coming out and saying he's not been offered the contract? Why couldn't the board come out then and say we have, kind of thing? I don't get why it takes to Brendan to resign for then this big statement to come out of how he's been acting. Why is it not been dealt with before it's got to this point? Do you know what I mean? But no, I think if Dermot Desmond's statement is true, then he's got every right, because like I said, it's been tough for the board this season. They've come under a lot of sticks. So if it is true, then they've got every right to. He's got every right to come out and fight his corner.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see or hear anything in the near future from Brendan Rodgers, or do you think that'll be that'll be it. Case closed. Brendan will move on, and probably, down the line he might take another job on somewhere else. And because, I mean, there is a question: has he damaged his legacy again now at Celtic for now not sticking to his word this time? Being on record more than once saying he would stay out his 3 years, and then he's not. He's not done that, and he's resigned the day after the club fall 8 points behind Hearts.
I think he's got to commit, JP. That's too strong a statement to sit in the background and move on. It's basically calling him a liar and things like that in the statement. So it's a really strong statement. So I think Brendan's got to really answer it back, really. I can't see Brendan no answering it back if it's not true. So as I say, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out in the next couple of days, because that will tell us everything that we need to know and everything that's really been going on, probably. It's no one of them ones where you can just say, just leave it and I'll go my separate ways. But as I says, the man's got a legacy at that football club, and his character's coming into question as well in parts of that statement. So
yeah,
I think he's got to commit with something back to it.
Yeah. No, listen, I totally get you, and I do agree with you. I think it's a very damaging statement, to say the least, and it's borderline, if it's not already, character assassination of Brendan Rodgers in terms of what he's like as a person and his behaviour and everything else. So yeah, I would be very surprised myself, Baz, if we don't see a response, whether it be today, next week, or even the week after, from Brendan Rodgers through some sort of outlet to give his own say on what's transpired over this last 24 hours. Not only Brendan Rodgers exits the club, Baz, a long-standing man who's been with the club for 27 years, and John Kennedy moves on, along with Glenn Driscoll and I can't mind his name now, the blonde-haired guy. He brought him for Leicester. One of the other coaches who's moved on as well. If somebody in the comments can help me out, his name escapes me. I can't for the life of me think who he is. Do you get any ideas, Buzz?
No, I don't know. I don't know who the guy for Leicester. I know who you're talking about, but I can't get his name.
No, neither can I. Anyway, so obviously John Kennedy, of all people, who has been with quite various few managers now at Celtic, and he's stayed with that. Obviously, he's now left the club as well. What's your thoughts there?
That's a strange one. Obviously, he's been a big part of previous managers, which tells you anything about him. He's obviously a top man with the sounds of it as well, because new managers come in and they want their own people in. But obviously John Kennedy is really, really well liked by everybody that seems to come into Celtic. And his coaching credentials, you heard Sean Maloney speaking about him today. He's supposed to be a top coach as well, from what I've heard. So that surprises me. The only thing I can maybe think about is maybe it's time for a change. He's went through a few managers now at Celtic. Maybe he wants to go and see something different, or maybe he wants to be a manager. He's sell now. He's had enough of the second in command, and he wants to go down his own path and become a first team manager now. So
do you think that could be a reason then? He knows he's maybe not going to get the Celtic job and he's having to move on?
Maybe because his ideal job would be the Celtic job for the big man, but he keeps staying there, and he's always assistant manager. So maybe he's thinking now he might have to go his own path to get back to Celtic in the long term. But no, it's a shame, because kind of want people at your club who know the club at the back of their hand and have the club at heart. And Big John definitely had the club at heart and knew it at the back of his hand. He's been there for 20 odd years now as a player and coach. So he'll be a massive, massive miss. And I can imagine he's a big figure for the players as well to go to. So they're going to miss that now as well. So that's a big negative for me in all of this as well. As much as important as Brendan is, I think John Kennedy's just as important.
Yeah, he's been with Celtic a long time. I know all the players love him, Buzz. You hear a lot of them speak about him regularly. And I just find it mental how it's came about that he's now decided to move on. But I get your point, Baz. He's probably looking at he needs a different challenge in his life now. He's been with Celtic, I've just mentioned there, he's been with Celtic 27 years. That's a hell of a long time to be with any football club for any individual. And in modern day football now, you never see that now. Very seldom do you ever see that now, you know. So John did have a chance. He could have, you know, he could have went to Tottenham with Big Ange at the time when Big Ange departed Celtic. And yeah, best of luck to him. Best of luck to Big John, obviously, moving on as well. The coach I was thinking about, thanks to the Celtic follower in the comments, it was Adam Sadler. That was the name of the boy. He was the other one that's now left. So obviously now we go on to the replacement. Are you quite surprised, Baz, at first of all, the name that replaces Brendan Rodgers, and second of all, the actual timing of when it happened, because it was ultimately right away. And you listen to the man of the day, obviously Martin O'Neill, your old manager. First and foremost, your own experiences with Martin and an insight for the Celtic fans that are tuning in, who are maybe too young to remember Martin. Ryan Kidd's only remembers him, but I don't think he does. I think he remembers seeing posters of him on his dad's wallpaper, and that's how he's like, no, I know who Martin O'Neill is, I know who he is, but I think he's kidding himself on. But in terms of your own experience, Baz, it's somebody you know really well, somebody you hold in very high regard in football. I've heard a lot of stories from yourself speaking to you regarding Martin O'Neill, so a wee insight, obviously, but you know, for the Celtic fans listening in, that might not remember Martin the first time around, as to what kind of guy we've got in the door here.
He was an unbelievable man manager. His man management was something I've never really seen. He was one of the guys that when you were training, he would walk out in training standard, would just jump as soon as the boys seen him walking up to the training pitch.
So does he have an aura about him, Buzz?
It wasn't that you were scared of him. It was just when he was there, you wanted to give your all, do you know what I mean, and impress and kind of impress him. So, but he had that. That wasn't just me as a young kid. And even the first team boys had a great respect for him. He knew how to work individual players, and he knew how to get the best out of them. A lot of his team talks are brilliant. He doesn't say much, but when he does, you listen. But his team talks before games are brilliant to get you up for the game. I remember John Carew and people like Gabby Bongoha. He used to offer them 3 or 4 days off if they won on the Saturday, because he knew that they love partying. So that was how you get the best out of them. They would go and run through brick walls to get a few days off. So I know football's changed nowadays. The only worry is a lot of the people in that Celtic changing room won't know who he is, maybe. You've obviously got McGregor's and Tierney's and people like that.
Do you think they'll remember him, though? I know they were younger guys, but do you think they'll remember him, won't they?
Well, he's part of history, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'm sure Kieran Tierney will know about Seville and things like that through being a big Celtic fan. So they'll make sure the lads know who he is. But he had an aura that you had, like, that was, I'd never seen it at Aston Villa anyway. Maybe Gerard Houllier when he came in, he was quite similar. Everybody knew who he was and respected him greatly. But he's a winner as well. He could also, he was quite intimidating when he lost his rag. But he was brilliant at Aston Villa. But as I said, that was a while ago now, so football does change. But I think what's good for the gaffer as well is that he's got younger ones around about him, i.e. Sean Maloney, and I've seen Mark Fognum's come in as well, who have managed recently. So that'll help him. But the football, I know it moves on, but it doesn't really change. Like, he knows his stuff. So I'm quietly confident for however long he may be there, that it'll. I think results will turn anyway from the last two, and he'll steady the ship.
Yeah, for me personally, until Brendan came along, he's probably the greatest manager ever in Celtic's history. He also took us to a European final, albeit we were on the losing end of that. But no, listen, Martin O'Neill doesn't need any introduction, that's for sure, to this football club and to the support. Even the younger ones that maybe don't remember him, it's 5 minutes in Google will give you all you need to know regarding the man. And I've had the luxury of meeting him a few times. I was at I went with Ryan and a couple of the boys that used to be on the podcast as well a while ago when we went to the Barras Art and Design, and he was in there and he was telling stories about things that used to go on in that team when he had them. And the best one I heard him say was when he was talking about Big John Hartson, and he says, how did you ever motivate John? he says, I turned around and I says to him, get warmed up, John, you're giving off. He says, and every time I done it, he always scored. He says, so I can understand where you're coming from. He's a man manager, because he probably just known wee bits and bobs, what to say to them, when to say it to them. And you listen to that team, you hear Chris Sutton speak about him, Neil Lennon, Paul Lambert, Henrik Larsson. They've all spoke about him in that regard, as in when he's waggy and you do what he's asking. If you do what he's asking you to do and stuff like that, you feel 10 feet tall, because he makes you feel like that. He makes you feel a giant going out to battle in the field. And obviously, in terms of the team now, Baz, like you say, football moves on and everything else, mate. I think this is a masterstroke, the way this has worked out in a way, because I know Brendan's resigned, but Dermot Desmond's went and got an actual manager, a guy that's got that, as you said, that aura about him, for me personally. But not only that, he's surrounded him with younger guys who, like you've said, who have managed in the current day's game, who have been involved in really good coaching setups. And, you look at Mark Foringham, he was with Felix Magath, who was another top coach. Roberto Martinez had Sean Maloney at the Belgian team with him. Spent time with Thierry Henry, coaching guys like Kevin De Bruyne and, Jeremy Doku, and guys that we're seeing perform at a very high level week in and week out now. I know Sean had a stint at Hibs that never quite worked out the way things wanted for Sean, but it is an interim basis as well. But I think they've surrounded this moment with guys who are Celtic minded, guys who know what the club's all about, guys who know, and I think that's important, Buzz. I really do in this moment in time, because it'd have been dead easy for us to go out and take another gamble. And again, I don't want to be disrespectful and say this, but Ronnie Delia, and bring a guy in who maybe doesn't know the game and maybe doesn't know Scottish football and doesn't know about the derby and the rivalry here and everything else. I know the second game for these guys is a derby. So these boys, I know your other old gaffers at the other end of the shoe there, and this will be his first one. These guys are walking into this one, and they've been involved in many through their time, so they know what the expectation levels are of the fan base and everything else. But like you've said, mate, the fact that he's a man motivator, a couple of wee words in the ear of just a wee reminder for Casper, guys that are experienced in the squad. These are the kind of boys that Martin can go and lean on in there. And just remind them and say, listen, by the way, I know things have not went well for you, but remember what you're good at as well. Remember that what you can bring to this team. And so in terms of the interim basis, mate, do you, how, in terms of your own mind, mate, how long do you see this going? Because football's changed in that aspect that certainly when Martin was here the first time, he built a really physical team. Guys that were all men and warriors and full of muscle, and they used to bully teams off the pitch. I would say, if anything, he's got the total reverse of that now. He's got a team that's technically gifted in a way, and they don't have so much physicality about them, mate. So do you see that aspect being a challenge for Martin now? Or, again, mate, do you think it's just a couple of words in the air and away we go?
I think in terms of the interim, how long it will last, I think we'll see it till at least the international break. I know you had a joke about today saying if we lose tomorrow, then there'll be somebody on Thursday. But I can't see it. I think they've brought Martin in straight away now to get us through to the international break. And that then gives them time for now until then to actually tie down who they really want to go for. But I think with results as well, I don't think it will matter, because I don't think Martin will want to take it full term. I think he loves the club that much that he just sees this as helping the club out for a short few weeks or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I don't think he's interested in coming back into management. He's been at it for, his last job was 2019 at Forest. So he's been at it for nearly 6 years now. He's obviously got his talk sport gig and he's enjoying his punditry. So, but it just shows you that how tied in he was with the club, that he's willing to come back and do a few weeks to get us through and help us. It's amazing, because a man of that calibre to come back and do that for us, we're very lucky to have that. But I think it was obviously when Brendan had decided he was resigning, it shows you Dermot's pull and his contacts that he's got, that you can get somebody in this quick, because it was needed. Because as you say, after tomorrow night, the FALKIRK game, we've got the semi-final, which is a massive game for our season. So to have somebody like Martin there that's willing to come in straight away and do a job for you, you're lucky. In that side of things. But no, that shows you the pulling power of the club and Dermot's contacts, because we could be sitting here with Brendan gone and having Sean and maybe Stephen McManus, which would be a big ask for these guys. Obviously Sean he's managed before and done all right at certain places, but as we spoke about with Martin O'Neill, the experience and the calmness and the know in these big games that he's had before, that'll be massive for not just tomorrow, but the game on Sunday especially. He's been there, he's done it, And that never changes. That pressure will always stay the same, whether it was 20 years ago or it's Sunday. He knows how to deal with that pressure because he's been there and done it. I'm not always one for that. It needs to be a Celtic man. I know it is good to have somebody in there that knows the club, but look at Ange, for instance. He wasn't a big Celtic man and came in and he won 5 or 6 trophies. So
Yeah.
I'm not always one of these fans that's like, it needs to be a Celtic man that comes in, that knows the club. I think the days have gone now. It's always nice to have somebody in there that can help, but we've got a lot of players in the squad now that know what Celtic's all about as well for whoever the new manager is. So I've not really set myself on who I want to be the next manager. There's obviously a few targets that you see getting linked already, but I just think it doesn't.
There's
really...
a couple of early favourites with the bookmakers. The bookmakers have got Kieran McKenna at. There's actually a wee question for you regarding that, mate. Obviously, Scott Melville. He's asking, what's your thoughts on Kieran McKenna?
I've played against his Ipswich team a good few times. Obviously, the job he done there was unbelievable. He's obviously came through at Spurs and Man United and places like that. So he's worked with top talent in the country at young ages and developed them. And now he's took it into first team football by going to Ipswich, and he led them from League One to the Premier League. Obviously, they got relegated last season, but we all know how tough it is to try and stay in the Premier League when you're promoted. So that's not really the worst, to be honest, to have in your CV.
What type of manager is he, Buzz? Obviously, being around closely to him, but what type of football does he play?
He likes to play attacking football. They're quite fluid in the attacking third, quite free in the attacking third. He always had two midfielders that I played against were Morsey and Massimo Lungo, who were very, very disciplined and let the attacking four just
that was your old teammate, is it not? Lungo?
He was.
Yeah.
But it was kind of 4-2-3-1. And the front four were quite fluid and allowed to go and express themselves. And his fullbacks were very good for him as well. Boy Leif Davis had loads and loads of assists. So I think Leif Davis used to bomb on, and the right back, he kind of stayed back and made it a back three with the two sitters in front. They were solid, very, very good. Scored a lot of goals. So he's a good manager, very, very good manager. He's not just attack, like he's very well balanced with attack and defence. So I can see why he's getting linked with it. Obviously done an amazing job at it. So he'll definitely, obviously, by the sounds of it, be in the running. But
do you think he would fit the Celtic brand, as in the way, obviously, Brendan talks about the club's identity and what, Celtic are known for playing good football and attacking football? Do you think he would? Obviously, he's at Ipswich. I think a lot of Celtic fans probably out there would have reserves on his, he's at Ipswich, Celtic. There's a bigger pressure up here. It's a goldfish bowl he's walking into. Having obviously known him for the outside, Baz, in terms you're kind of down and around him in the same kind of division as him. How does he handle himself? Does he handle himself quite well, or would he be a guy that would be easily pressured, especially with us media up here?
No, he seems quite. For being a young manager, he seems quite above his time. He doesn't look as if he gets too excited when they win, and doesn't get too down when they lose. Seems to be really calm and collective, and he seems he's very level-headed with no matter the outcome of the games from what I've seen in his interviews and stuff. So that's a massive skill to have, especially in the pressure cooker of Glasgow. But the thing is, you're never going to know until they come up, because you could label that to every manager. Can they come up and handle the pressure of managing Celtic? That could get labelled to everybody that comes up and manages Celtic from wherever it is. Until the date, you're never going to know. So, because it's completely different to almost every club in the world. The passion up there in the city of Glasgow is completely different to where it is anywhere else. So, until they're up there, you're never going to know if they can handle it or not.
Another name that's came to light tonight, mate, is Edin Terzic, who was the former Borussia Dortmund manager. What's your thoughts there?
I think he was the manager when they got to the Champions League final. He's obviously took just almost a year out of football. Normally that says that he's went away and probably trying to learn a bit more before he comes back in. Some people go on holiday, but a lot of the managers nowadays, they go away and do a bit more research and trying to come back better for it. So it looks as if I wouldn't mind that, to be honest. He's got a great pedigree. Dortmund's obviously a massive club as well, so he's under pressure over there to win games, so he's had that as well. So he would be good. I obviously love Ange Postecoglou. He would probably be my number one to come in. But I like the Bodo Glimt manager and have for a while now as well. I'm surprised he's not really moved, to be honest. He's been linked loads of times with...
The boys were talking about that today, mate, and I found it interesting because Alan mentioned something about he's got some sort of ownership or something, or a bit part ownership on somewhere in Bodo. I only caught a wee bit of what Alan was saying, but I don't know if maybe that's why he's kind of stuck around for so long, or just the fact that the infrastructure there he's working with, he's happy with, or whatever. But I'm the same as you. I'm surprised no other teams came in and, you know, took a chance on him.
Definitely, I think he's a lot of people. He seems to get linked with every job that comes up, but he's still no took one yet. So there might be something there that we don't know about that's keeping him there. But as I said, I'm quite happy with the names that I'm seeing linked. They seem to be all quite good managers.
Ryan's just put a comment on for us there, mate. He says that Ben Jacobs is now saying Robbie Keane's on the shortlist.
I've said this as well. I think this is I don't think it's under the radar because obviously people are speaking about it now. But I know he's definitely got a good relationship with Desmond, and he's been doing really well, to be honest. I think he's at Ferencváros now. He's doing well in the Europa League, so
yeah,
he's obviously had that Celtic connection. To be fair, when he was at Celtic, he was brilliant. I wouldn't mind that, to be honest.
I wouldn't mind it either.
I actually played with him at Aston Villa, so I know.
That's right. He was at Villa with you, wasn't he? That's right.
Aye, so he's quite young as well, and I loved him as a player. So I'd imagine he'd want his teams to play nice football and attacking football. So I'd be for that as well. To be honest, I think he's. I actually said to my cousin the other day, I thought they would go for Bellamy or Robbie Keane,
right?
Just because the connection to Celtic, and obviously Robbie Keane being Irish, I reckon. I think it was Desmond that pulled these players to the club when we signed them, because I know I seem to think that he had a conversation with Robbie Keane and he was the one that signed Robbie Keane. So it doesn't surprise me that he's getting linked with it, because he's actually done really well as well this season. And I think he was in Israel. Tel Aviv, maybe, and he had to leave.
I think he sort of had issues there because he wasn't getting his wages and stuff like that, and he was having I was reading about that not long ago, and like he says, he had to leave.
I think he had to leave as well because of the war that was going on over there. So he left there, but I think he was doing a good job there before he had to leave there as well. And now at Ferencváros, he's had a great start there as well. So he's obviously doing really well. So I think I can see why he's getting linked.
Do you think, obviously, it might be too soon for Ange to come back into management? Do you think he'll want to take a break now after the Forest debacle and what's happened there?
It's a hard one because, as we spoke about before we came on here, if he has been contacted by the club to come and take it, he can't really afford to turn it down, and it might not come back again. So if Ange does get offered it, I'd be surprised if he said no because he's not ready yet, because then that means the likelihood is you're probably not going to get another chance at it. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
Right, from a player's perspective now, obviously being a captain yourself, mate, where's the heads just now? What are you thinking? But in terms of Callum and some of the boys just now, I know Sean Maloney was talking earlier and he says he took a training and that this morning, but in terms of what's just transpired, how do you, obviously you lose to Hearts 3-1 in Sunday. Callum looked raging when he was talking to the media afterwards. But in terms of how do you manage to refocus again to go again tomorrow?
It's football, innit? You just need to get on with it. Your job doesn't change tomorrow. You need to go out and win another 3 points for the club. As I said earlier, there'll be a lot of players in there that'll be sad because a lot of the players did like Brendan. He got on really well with probably all of them. But then there'll be players in there who weren't playing. It's changing rooms. If you're not playing, you're not happy with the manager. If you're playing, you're happy. So there'll be others in there that will be looking forward to tomorrow because they think they might have a chance of playing now with the new management team. So it works both ways really for the squad. But people like McGregor and Tierney's, they're the leader of that changing room. So they will be sad because they had great relationships with the manager. But they're the people who will be looking upon tomorrow to pull this squad with them through the game tomorrow. Today would have been a sad day when they get and know that Brendan's not there anymore. But football, you've got no time, especially this week as well for the club. It's massive because if you don't get the points tomorrow, you fall further behind, and then you go into the semi-final and you lose that, the season's as good as over before the next international break. So it's bad timing, but there's no time to dwell. It's a massive 2 games coming up this week, so they just need to get on with it. And as I've said before, we're lucky that we've got experience in that changing room who have probably been through these times before and know how to react to it. So we're lucky in that way. Yeah,
because I was wondering myself, like I'm just trying to think about the players and think about where their heads must be just now, especially going into training today and Brendan's not there, John Kennedy's not there. You're used to a certain way of working and then all of a sudden, boom, it's not there. It can be a really blow up in your face change type of thing, So that's why I was asking there a moment ago. Obviously, in terms of tomorrow, obviously FALKIRK, Celtic Park, mate. What kind of game are you expecting now from FALKIRK? Bearing in mind we ended up losing the game 3-1 on Sunday. With the change now with Anil and Maloney coming in, do you think they will look to alter Celtic's team? Do you think they'll look to change anything? Again, you've mentioned some of the guys who are out in the wilderness. Will it be a case of giving them an opportunity? Changing maybe, a boy we've not even saw yet, Jemai Simpson-Posey. There's been a couple of the squad bars. I don't know if you've seen it yourself or heard about it, but they have put some cryptic photos on their Instagrams over the last 24 hours. Jemai Simpson-Posey is one of them, and so was Balikwisha. And basically, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand where they're coming from there, and obviously what they're meaning. It's obviously a dig at Brendan for whatever's went on or whatever's transpired through time. But then you've got like say young Osmond, Inamura, Yamada. These guys have been left in the dark, mate. I've got a clip I'm going to send you when we come off here, mate. I don't. You'll probably remember what I'm going to say, but the one Yamada pings out the air, like prime Cristiano Ronaldo. He's unlucky. His shot gets blocked, but nobody. I mean, an average player can't do stuff like that. In my opinion, you've got to have some sort of ability in order to just pluck that out the air whilst holding the defender off. By the way, might add. So he's rolled the defender. He's then plucked that out there and stopped it dead to shoot. And then I think it's a big boy FALKIRK that throws himself in front of the ball. So in terms of the thoughts of those guys that have been out in the kind of wilderness, mate, do you see any of that changing tomorrow? Do you think he'll go with you've got likes of Bernardo, McCown? What way do you see Martin going about tomorrow?
I think there'll be changes. The good thing about Maloney, McManus and Martin coming in is they know the team. They've watched the team all season from whether it's close up, like being at Celtic, or from afar. Martin O'Neill still watches Celtic games. You can tell the way he's speaking the day. He knows all the players. So that's the good thing that we have got in this short space of time, that we might have them. Martin knows the players. He might see different, like he said today, from what he thought these players were. When he gets in and sees them close up, he might be impressed with one or two that he probably didn't think were good enough. And likewise the other way. But I think there'll be changes for the game. Definitely. The more I can't see you losing 3-1 and keeping the same 11. The performance wasn't terrible at Tynecastle. I think the result, it's a bad result, but there was bits and bobs in the game where I thought we'd done all right. But I think there's got to be a change. I wouldn't mind the old 3-5-2 coming back that Martin O'Neill loved, especially the new way I was lacking wide.
Do you think they're equipped to play it, Baz, with a team that's currently there just now? In terms of right fullback, where would that come into your mind? I
think is Johnson still out? Is Maeda? Because I've not really seen anything in the interviews today. They didn't even speak about
Brendan did say Maeda was training today. He did say in his presser that Maeda would have trained. Yesterday. That would have been yesterday, not today. Again, he didn't tell us before he left. We didn't. The boys get interviewed today. Unfortunately, there wasn't a question put to them regarding updates on the injured players. Cameron Carter-Vickers, he's out for 5 months. He went through his operation. He went through his operation yesterday, so we know he's out. Kelechi and AJ are not as feared as what they thought. Brendan did say he thought tomorrow night would be too soon for them. But he kind of left that dangling there as if they might have resumed training. We don't know if they're training there, or are they going to be ready for Sunday? But again, I don't know. But so do you see, obviously, the two young lads, like say Kobe Donovan and Dane Murray, do you see both of them coming out the team?
I think the two of them will come out the team. I think Austin Trusty will play. And I think either Sriracha or Anthony Ralston will come in. I think times like now where the pressure's on and the results haven't been great, you need experience. You need experience to come in. It's unfair in the young boys to keep throwing them out there. Maybe their confidence, especially the other day, will take a knock. So I think there'll be definitely 2 changes tomorrow with them two. I think there'll be more, but it just depends. I don't know if they'll. It's probably a bit too early to change personnel in terms of shape because they've not had a chance to work at it. But I think they are equipped to play free because you could play Ralston or Sriracha at the right wing back area. You've got Kieran Tierney the other side. You could go Trusty, Simpson Pussy, and Liam Scales as a back three. And then the midfield two, you could probably go Bernardo, Cal McGregor, and your 10 could be Alec
Hatate.
Hatate, and then you've got Maeda and Yamada, who you could play through the front, or Kenny and Maeda. So there is options. That's leaving people like Tanecki and that out, but I'm sure Tanecki could play in the 10 as well. I think they are equipped to play it, but I think tomorrow will be too early. Obviously, the gaffers, Martin O'Neill's he's literally just, I don't even think he took training today from his press conference.
No, I think it was Sean Maloney, because I think O'Neill more or less got out a car at Celtic Park and then had to go and do the interviews. So I get...
So Shawnee, it'll probably be Shawnee who'll pick the team tomorrow then, as he's obviously done training the day.
Do you see Casper keeping his place, Baz, or do you think they'll give Sinisalo a shot?
I think Casper will stay in, knowing the way Martin O'Neill works. He loves big characters, and Casper's obviously massive character. And as I say, his experience at this time of need is massive, and there's no many that have got more experience in that squad than Casper Schmeichel. You heard Sean speak about him being the most experienced in the group the day in his press conference, so
yeah,
tells me that he'll play tomorrow. But no, I think there'll be changes. I actually think Bernardo will come in tomorrow, or Luke McCown. One of the two of them will play. I know Martin O'Neill spoke highly of Engels when he's seen him in Europe, and heard him speaking about him at Villa Park last season. Was really impressed with him.
do you think he could play a deeper role, as in an anchor role in the midfield? Because that's the way I heard O'Neill speaking about him when he was on TalkSport.
He could, but he could also... He speaks about running power, so he could give him the license to get in the box, and he might just
like a Petrov role, you mean?
Kind of like arriving late, because he's got that running power. I think at the minute we're asking Arne Engels to get involved too much, probably in the build-up. I think he's better in and around the edge of their box where he can get shots off, and he's running power in behind. I think we're trying to get him probably involved a bit too much in the play. I think we should let him stay higher up the pitch and try and become more of that goal threat, and use his running power to basically do the runs that you see Nygren and Matt O'Reilly used to do. I think we could use him a lot better by doing that. But I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think Matati needs to probably come out the team at the minute. Something's just not fitting for him.
Aye.
And we've got other midfielders. If we never had other midfielders, then fair enough, you could keep playing him. But it's only fair that other people get a chance now, because he's had a lot of chances this season. You've got Paolo Bernardo there, who's not really had a sniff. So you see, with new managers all the time, they come in and somebody that looks as if they're not going to play again for the team ends up becoming a permanent fixture, and that could be some Paolo Bernardo, or like you touched on, Inamura, Yamada, Balikwisha. You never know. It's managers see different things in different players, and different players just quit with different managers. So I'm hoping tomorrow that we see a few changes, because I think the team...
Even Yamada, for me, he's got something he could offer, Baz, because that says we're at control at the weekend. I actually thought he done well when he came on. He done a lot better than Johnny Kenny did. I don't want to be disrespectful to Johnny Kenny. Johnny Kenny runs it, he's full of energy and he runs about and stuff, but in terms of that number 9 sort of play...
Was the last time he played at Ibrox?
Aye, I
thought he was good then when he came on.
Aye, he was good then when he came on, I know, Ibrox, yeah.
Not really seen him since, so...
No, and I like his play. He links the play really well. He brings it down. He brings the midfield into play. I quite like that. He's back to goal and stuff like that. So
I think the strikers as well, can he keep putting him in for 60 minutes here and he's no scoring, and then you've got to give a striker a run of games. It's the only way you're going to get the best out of them. It's positions where you've got to see them for 3 or 4 games and give them a chance over and over again. But I think at the minute, when he actually, we're probably flitting between Kenny and Yamada, but I think we just need to go with one of them and give them a run of games to see what they're like. And I think, like you said, I've been impressed with the short parts I've seen of Yamada. I think right now, all-round play, he's probably a bit stronger than Johnny Kenny for me. I think he offers a wee bit more than Johnny Kenny. So I'd like to see him given an extended run, considering that Iniacho's out now, and I think he could be a problem if you give him that bit of loving and just the confidence that he's going to play for the next 3 or 4 games. I think you could see a different Yamada.
Yeah, I agree with Jason's comment there as well. Yamada has got similar movement like Kyogo. Jason says obviously he starts tomorrow. I can see that in Yamada as well. I think he's quite similar in terms of Kyogo in a way. But obviously he's not found the net for us as yet, because he's ultimately not really the chance, as Baz just says. You need to give people an opportunity. Do you think he'll get an opportunity under this interim regime though? Do you think he'll get a chance to go and obviously show what he can do?
I think so, because I think I'm trying to think what Martin O'Neill, we had John Carew and Gabby Bonghorse, so we had a bit of height and pace with Gabby.
Mm-hmm.
Martin does love pace, but he also likes crosses as well. His wingers at Aston Villa were actually young and people like that. Obviously at Celtic was Thompson and Didier Gat. So we had Larson, Sutton, Hartson. He likes that. He kind of old school in the way of he likes the tall striker with the tall and little combination. But I think what we've got available at Celtic at the minute, Yamada needs to start tomorrow, and I think we will go down that route. Obviously, Sean Maloney's been working with the development squad, so he's probably had a close eye up Simpson Pussy, because I know he's played a game for them as well, and Luke's probably has trained with him as well when he's not made the squad. So that'll tell us what we need to know tomorrow. I think we might see him in the squad, if no starting. So I think there'll be change, as in terms of players and positions tomorrow. I don't think we might change the formation. It might be too early. But I think there will be 3 or 4 changes for the starting team on Sunday.
What kind of threat do you think we'll face, obviously, coming up against Falkirk?
I've been really impressed with Falkirk. They've took their form for last year, the way they played last year. They attack, play nice football. A lot of people, when they get promoted, start to go away for that, but they've stayed the same this season in the Prem as well, and they've had a great start. I think hats off to the manager. I think he's done an unbelievable job with probably a tiny budget compared to the rest of the teams in the league, and he's just shown that with good management and believing in your style of play that you don't need the massive budget. They were very unlucky against Rangers. I watched the full game that day, and they were a better team for me in the day. I thought they deserved to win that game. They got a draw, so it'll be a tough game. Obviously, they're not going to change. I seen they came in the cup earlier in the season. They had a goal that day as well. We obviously ran away with it in the end, but their style never changed that day, and we beat them convincingly in the end. But change them, or they won't come and think, let's frustrate them, get the fans to turn. That's not in the manager's makeup. They'll come and have a go, and it'll make for a good game. So I'm looking forward to it. I think there'll be a wee bit of a buzz around the place because, as you know, the manager, Martin O'Neill, he's loved by that fan base. So they're going to be right behind him and Sean Maloney tomorrow. And as I said, hopefully there's some players given a chance tomorrow that we've not seen this season as well, which will excite the crowd. So it'll be a tough game, but I think tomorrow, I think I can only see a Celtic one. I think as well as Falkirk have done this season, we've already seen them here at Celtic Park this season, and they struggled that day. So I can't see it tomorrow.
Obviously, before I ask you for a team line, Baz, it was, I did send you this earlier, mate, we had a chat about it in the group chat, but obviously for anybody who's attending the game tomorrow, at 7 p.m, the Celtic Fans Collective have organised a demonstration of protest outside the stadium. So they have sent out a message for all the Fans Collective steering committee and basically urging everybody to meet at the front entrance of the stadium. Basically, following last night's developments at the growing unrest among supporters, the Celtic Fans Collective Steering Committee has unanimously agreed to call a protest demonstration outside Celtic Park tomorrow from 7 p.m. The decision has been full backing of all major support organisations. We are asking all groups to encourage young members to attend in strong numbers and help to send another clear message to the Celtic board. It's time for them to go. That's what it says on the message here. An announcement will be issued through the usual channels shortly. Best regards, Celtic Fans Collective. In terms of that, Baz, obviously, what's your thoughts for that? Because obviously, the timing of that is obviously at a time where, we need to get a result tomorrow. We need to try and through the last 24 hours, there's been a big change with what's going on in terms of the managers left, and then obviously this. But in terms of what I've read out and obviously what you've seen, mate, what are you thinking?
Well, we've had loads of protests ourselves this season, obviously at my club, and I've always been strong with it, as in, as long as it doesn't affect the players on the pitch, then that's fine, do it, if that's what you believe in.
This one's before the game, though. It's at 7 p.m.
I think
outside the stadium.
I didn't know that was what it was, because we spoke about it earlier and I was obviously against it. But as long as it doesn't come inside the stadium during the game especially, I think it's fine. Depending on whether you believe in it or no, I think it's fine. As long as it doesn't come into the stadium and affect that 90 minutes, then it's all right with me. But as soon as it starts disrupting games and that we've seen already this season, it's not really helped in the times we've done it during games. So before the game, fine, as long as it doesn't happen during the game. For me, it's all right. I'm not saying I agree with it or I don't agree with it, but these people obviously feel strongly a certain way and they feel that by protesting it can help. But just on the basis of a player on the pitch, when it does happen during the game, it can affect, I think, the players on the pitch. Because you could be all the momentum in the game, and then that stoppage can take the momentum, sting out the game, and then the momentum you've had goes away. So I just don't think it helps anybody when it's during the 90 minutes, whether it's before or after the game. That's fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was the same as you. I picked it up wrongly as well. I thought it was supposed to happen during the game and stuff like that, and obviously I've picked it up wrongly. So, yeah, it's obviously before the game. It's outside the stadium. There's obviously been a growing unrest now for some time, Baz. There is, number of reasons as to why these protests are ongoing just now. Obviously, the Celtic fans have had enough with the Celtic board. They feel that the Celtic board are not doing what they should be, or doing it diligently enough when they're doing it. There's feelings during the summer window, but you could look at that the next way as well. And not every club gets every window bang on all the time, and not everybody's, not everybody's football club is squeaky clean all the time either. There's things goes on in various different football clubs, but I think the bottom line here is that I think the idea is there's been far too many individuals at the football club for far too long, and there's an advocate for change, and obviously the methods and the way that we do that. So, I'm a big advocate for it myself, in terms of the way that we recruit players. So if we know a big player's going to be leaving, we don't leave ourselves in a position where we're having to wait months to, replace or end up having to scrape the barrel to get players in time before a window shuts when you've had a couple of months to get them in. So I think overall, mate, I think that's basically why these protests are happening. But I'm the same as you, mate. As long as it doesn't come into the stadium, because I'll be in attendance tomorrow night myself. So as long as it doesn't come into the stadium, I'm wanting to see the team on the pitch. We're going through a real sticky patch just now on the pitch. I feel that, the team needs to be backed, especially in this situation. That there's an interim coaching team being brought in here to help the team. The team are maybe not in a good place just now in terms of mentally. They can't be, otherwise we would be seeing a lot better results than what we're seeing just now. So I just feel, mate, that these things need to. I think you need to be mindful that there's a season happening here as well, and you could do something that's going to detriment the inner workings of the football club.
No, definitely. Like I said, these two games are massive. So these lads who, as you've probably touched on, confidence has took a whack probably.
Yeah.
And obviously the new coaching staff, there'll be nerves for Shawnee and people like that stepping into as big a club as Celtic to manage. They've obviously played in front of them and done really well. But it's obviously a different pressure now as assistant manager. So the players and the staff, the more I definitely need backed. It's a big game in terms of to build confidence for the semi-final on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's a big game because we're 8 points behind in the league. We can't really afford to be shit many more points and falling further behind. So, listen, they've got, as you've touched on about the board's spending and how they recruit, how they take longer to replace people. If that's what they're not happy with, then that's up to them. But we can't start letting it affect our players on the pitch, because we need to support them as much as we can at the minute. They're 8 points behind in the league, and they've got a massive semi-final coming up on Sunday. So as angry as you're at the board, them boys out in the park who are trying to win games for your team need to be 100% back tomorrow and in the coming weeks, because it can all slip away before the next international break, and the season could be as good as done. So they need every bit of support they can get, and we've got a legend coming back to manage the team as well, who he only deserves to have them support behind them, unearned 10% as well for his short stay that it might be.
Yeah, I feel totally honoured as well listening to Martin O'Neill today as a Celtic fan when he turns in and says, "Listen, there's certainly no many teams there's no a team on the planet that I would do this for." So as much as he was trying to be jovial and he was making some jokes about people's ages and young people in the crowd and stuff, and giving them a wee bit of patter and stuff today, but he was, Martin O'Neill's a big Celtic fan, and that's why he's done this. And I don't disbelieve him when he says he only had 10 minutes to make his mind up, because Dermot's probably been like, "Right, you doing this? I know." Boom. And he's probably not even give him 10 minutes. He probably said, "Right, I want you in the now." obviously Brendan's resigned, so we need you in. But in terms of the team tomorrow, mate, what you thinking line-up wise?
So obviously, I said I would love to see a change of formation, but I don't think it will happen tomorrow. So I think we'll go the 4-3-3 again. I think we'll go Schmeichel, Ralston, Trusty, Scales, Kieran Tierney. I think we'll go McGregor, Engels, and Paolo Bernardo. I think they'll go Taneki, Yamada, James Forrest. If Maeda's no fit, I think Forrest will play. If Maeda's fit, I think he could play because he hasn't been out too long, so it's not as if he's a massive doubt if he plays, and he's not missed a lot of football, so he'll be fit still. So I think he can play tomorrow and Sunday. But if Maeda's no fit, I think James Forrest will play. Simply because we spoke about again the day, and he's been in that leadership group, and they're going to need needed tomorrow. But even on Sunday, I thought he done well when he came on as well again. James Forrest, him and Yamada gave us something different. So I think we just need to sort that right side of the front three out. I think Nygren playing in there's he's not the answer. I think he's a centre mid, an 8 type. I don't think he's a winger. It's unfair in playing out there. I just think James Forrest, obviously, that's his position, and he gives you that reliable side to him when he's playing out there. So I think we just need to play people in their positions at the minute and go back to a bit of basics and try and obviously build a bit of confidence. But I think Forrest will play in the right if Maeda's no fit yet.
Yeah, interesting because we're all trying to kind of rack our brains to see what kind of team's going to put out tomorrow. Obviously, Martin O'Neill coming back, and he's no, like he says, Baz, he's not really took training with the team. He's not seen the team up close yet. He's having to rely on Sean, Stephen, like you mentioned, they know the team inside out. They know the boys. They've been there, so they know what they're dealing with there. Aye, so it'll be interesting tomorrow, but I think the team might be Douglas, McNamara, Volhan, Bobo, Ulrich Lawson, Lambert, Lennon, Petrov, Alan Thompson, Sutton and Larson.
That's what you wish.
I think that might be the team for Sunday, by the way. I love these things about Larson. He says to Jim White, I'm actually going to phone him like I'm half here. He says to see if he's been in the gym or no. And maybe Stephen Pearson on the bench or something. I don't know. We'll need God, if that team in now, man, we wouldn't have been this mess. We wouldn't be talking about this now, and we'd be beginning to Sunday absolutely steamrolling them, so we would. 100%, even with the team they've got now. But no, I think it'll be Casper. A wee bit of me thinks Kobe Donovan will keep his place, guys. I do think you're onto something there with Austin Trusty. I think he'll play Austin. I'm only picking Kobe Donovan because he's certainly a bit more a runner than Ralston. He gets further beyond where Ralston can go in the pitch.
Sarachi might play there instead.
He could do that, I know. Aye, he could do that as well. I find it bizarre, mate, that he's been sort of left out of the team since we get back. He captained Uruguay away an international duty there for Bielsa. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't. It's beggars belief. So. Yeah, so I think personally, I think it could still be Kobe Donovan. If Brendan was still in charge, it would be Dane Murray. I think he would have kept Dane Murray there. But I think you could be onto something. I think Austin Trusty or Jemai Simpson-Posey could come into the team there. I can't see Liam Scales losing his place. I think he's actually done quite well this season overall. And he get man of the match again in Europa on Thursday night there. I actually didn't think he was that bad on Sunday. I actually think it was Dane Murray's mistakes that led to a bit more in Sunday for us. But I agree with you. I think Tierney will keep his place. But personally, because he's fitness now, I'd probably bring in Sriracha for the morrow and try and go with that and try and see if we can have Sriracha doing that thing where he comes inverted, you know. Because as much as Martin O'Neill's a legend of the club, he'll be working with like Fozzie, as he calls him, Matt Foringham, and Sean Maloney, and they'll be wanting to play a kind of modern brand of football. I think they'll have an idea of that, you know, and not so much that long directness that O'Neill's so used to back in his day in his 3-5-2. Because you heard O'Neill today, he'll be relying on Sean a lot. Do you know what I mean? So it could be Sean has a bigger influence in the team moving forward as we go than probably fans probably feel. Who knows? It's kind of hard to think me, but really get your head around it because you don't know what's going to happen. You know, I'm just trying to give a rough idea of who I think the team might be. He's midfield. I actually think the midfield will be Engels, McGregor and Bernardo. That's who I think his midfield will be. Because he likes physical players, he likes physicality. And I think the three there, and I agree with you with the front three. I picked the same front three, Yamada, Tonecki and James Forrest. If Maeda's fit, he'll play Jamesy, but if Maeda's fit, he'll play him, but if no, I think James Forrest will start.
Yeah, I can't see the four of the McManus, Maloney, Foringham and Martin O'Neill. There's no way on earth KT doesn't start unless they're saving him for Sunday, maybe. If they ask him how his fitness is and he wants to, he's not sure about tomorrow, but if it was a cup final tomorrow, he's Kieran Tierney's playing all day for them four people. But who knows? It might be a case of tomorrow keeping people fresh for Sunday. I know we're probably not in the place really to do that, but we don't know what Martin's thinking or Shawnee's thinking. Do you know what I mean? It could be the fringe players could get a chance tomorrow thinking they've got enough to win and keep some of the boys ready for Sunday, because to be honest as well, we don't really need to be getting any more injuries to some of the better players we've got left. With Alistair Johnson, Maeda, Iniacho, Carter Vickers and people like that being minute. Can't really afford injuries, but I don't think we're in the place, to be honest, to rest people. You've seen Martin O'Neill getting asked about the game on Sunday and he completely dismissed it and says tomorrow's the main game. So that's to see, which hopefully sees a strong team getting it. But I think KT plays, mate, because they need people tomorrow who know what it's all about.
Yeah, it can try and bounce back for the team. In terms of scorelines, mate, would it surprise you if obviously the shackles came off tomorrow and Celtic go and win the game comfortably?
No, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. You see it all the time with a new manager bounce. Teams play with a freedom, and you think, where has that team been for the whole of this season so far? We've not seen that. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. As I said, Martin's motivational speaks before games are top notch. So I can imagine he'll be getting that ready tonight for the morrow.
For Sunday.
So He'll probably still be motivated for the Morris one for Sunday as well. He might not have today one on Sunday.
Do you think when he goes to press play for video analysis after the FALKIRK game, he'll go to press play and it'll be the 6-2 game for it? Larson chipping close and he'll be like, hold on a minute, that's not a wrong video you've given me reading that for.
But no, I think
like Stefan Mahy belting it down the left-hand side, giving it to Bobby Peter.
yeah. Fernando Rickson's having a nightmare, man.
Aye. Craig Moore nearly breaking his leg, trying to slide tackle Larson.
I just think the Mora could be one of them games where you see a completely different Celtic team. That we've not seen this season, because you always see when new managers coming in, you get a bounce. So I think they'll probably. I don't want to jinx it, because the last time I was on here, I think I said 3 or 4-0, and we
I said 5-0. And Dundee and they get beat 2-0.
I think we could win 3-0 tomorrow. I just see them being too strong. I think we trust they coming in at the back. Hopefully, that shores us up a bit. Whether it's Sriracha or Anthony Ralston at right back, I just think we'll be strong tomorrow back there. I know we'll still miss Carter Vickers, but I think we trust they coming in. He's light for light without being as good for Carter Vickers. They've both got similar attributes in terms of they're quick, strong. So I've been surprised that he's not featured more. I know he's had an injury, but I actually like Austin Trusty. I think he's obviously had the odd bad game, but there's been some games as well, like Atalanta away last season, where he was unbelievable. So I think him coming back into the team, hopefully tomorrow will be a big boost for the back line. But I think Celtic will win 3-0, and I'm going to go for a wee Yamada double.
Oh, wee Yamada double. I'll go with that, no? A wee brace from Yamada. And aye. Just hope he's got his shooting boots on. He doesn't shoot like my head on. What's that?
What score are you going for?
I'll go 4-0. I'll go 4-0. Yamada brace.
Engels.
No, I was Yamada brace, McGregor and Scales. There you go. There's my big Scalesy with one of his finesse finishes for the Europa. That'll do me lovely.
Ryan's signed off, man, or he'd have been on the bleach again hearing you saying big Scales.
No, Ryan, I can't wait. But I said that to Ryan today. I cannot wait. Obviously, Martin O'Neill, former Republic Island manager, I can't wait till he gets his Irish heat on and goes like that to big Scalesy. In fact, here, son, just you take the captain's band now, will you? Because it's just something I want to do. McGregor's doing my tits in, and just you here, you do that, and
you're right when you wake up, man.
McGregor's telling the pressers that we're too easy to play against here, son. You just take the captain's man. He's going for a sleep now. Ryan will jump off of Kingston Bridge, man. Poor Ryan. Poor Ryan's like, I don't need my haircut. I'm going away. He would jump about with Big Alan's snorkel on there, and he's wearing there in Mexico now. The two of them look like Scuba Steve, man, at Big Daddy. Tremendous. But brilliant, man. But Baz, thanks very much, mate, for coming on and giving us your thoughts, mate, on the current circumstances at the hoops and obviously what's transpired over the last 24 hours, mate. It's always a privilege having you on with us.
No, it's been great, mate, to be on. Obviously, there's been a lot happening in the last 48 hours or whatever it's been. And obviously, it's been good to talk about my old manager as well. Obviously, I've been in changing rooms with him and that, so it's been good to speak about him again. And obviously, good to see him back in football and back at Celtic. So no, it's been brilliant to be on and speak about it. Obviously, as I said, it's been an eventful time, so I've enjoyed it speaking about it.
Aye, 2 of your old managers going head to head on Sunday, man. Me, go today.
You know what I'll be doing. Hopefully I'll be texting Danny on Sunday night. Wee green emoji, wee green heart emoji.
Aye, just send them a YouTube link for a crying game, boy George. especially if we beat them. Tremendous, man.
I'll need to turn my phone off if we don't.
I know, well, I need to turn my phones off if we don't. We might be looking for a new manager by the time Monday comes, Martin says, didn't he? He's like, here we go. But no, mate, it's been a great chat. Thanks to everybody as well that's tuned in across the platforms tonight. It's been good getting all reviews. I'm sorry I've not been able to put everybody's comments up, but obviously due to myself and Baz having a chat as well, it's impossible to do that, to get through everybody's comments. But for the time being, folks, if you're going to game tomorrow, wrap up well. It's to be a cold one, I've heard tomorrow. The weather's to be quite bad as well, rain-wise. So, aye, it is -8 in Glasgow now, so we'll need to wrap up really well. Obviously, Hearts, they've got a trip to St Mirren tomorrow, and Rangers are out at Hibs. So, out at Easter Road. So, we'll be fingers crossed and toes crossed for good results there all round. But for the time being, folks, take care. If you're going to game tomorrow, enjoy. Hail, hail, and we'll see you all again on the next one. Bye-bye.
Hail, see you later.
Bye-bye.
Sets up Larsson here. Larsson, oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson, and Rodgers! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!